Blog Talk Radio.
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. You can't explain. But you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with it. You don't know what it is. But it's not. Like a splinter in your mind. Driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Even now, in this very room, you can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. When you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters, the very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress? I was. Look again. Breathe it.
This isn't the Matrix.
No. It's another training program designed to teach you one thing. If you are not one of us, you are one of them.
What are they?
Sentient programs. They can move in and out of any software still hardwired to their system. That means that anyone we haven't unplugged is potentially an agent. Inside the Matrix, they are everyone, and they are no one.
We have survived by hiding from them, by running from them. But they are the gatekeepers. They are guarding all the doors, they are holding all the keys, which means that sooner or later, someone is going to have to fight them.
Someone.
I won't lie to you, Neil. Every single man or woman who has stood their ground, everyone who has fought an agent has died. But where they have failed, you will succeed.
Why?
I've seen an agent punch through a concrete wall. Men have emptied entire clips at them and hit nothing but air. Yet their strength and their speed are still based in a world that is built on rules. Because of that, they will never be as strong or as fast as you can be.
People what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. Anything is possible. This choice I leave to you.
Welcome, friends, readers, listeners, and viewers. I'm your host, Ben Garcia. This is FallenAngels.tv, and it's July 6th, 2013. It's a 5 p.m. broadcast. We're streaming out of East Coast, United States of America. And I just want to thank, again, all of those that take the time to join me in fellowship and to open your attention to listening to those things which I have been trying to share with the masses and with people, fellow truth seekers like yourself that have been wanting to know more about how it is that we got here and why it is that we got here and what this world is all about, and also where to from here. And so we're going to talk about those things today. I'm going to share a little bit of my own testimony. I won't be going into a lot of scripture, which is usually the premise for the shows. I like to share a lot of things that most of you have never heard about, but in this show I'm going to just kind of speak about my own awakening and what led me to a discernment on the things that I've come to learn and to know about. And of course I give all honor, all praise, all glory, and all worship to the Father and the Son for giving me the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and the mind to understand. I consider myself very, very blessed. And I know that those of you also that are out there that have been guided to revelation, that understand the world in a way that only the few have perception on, because most of the people, as I opened with this particular this opening scene, it's from the movie The Matrix, and it's basically talking about what we really are dealing with as a world and as a people. And not a lot of people have been blessed to decipher the illusion, and most are still locked into the matrix to such a degree that it controls and owns their world. The things that they live for, strive for, their dreams, goals, their entire focus, their priority for life and being, all those things are dictated by the matrix and by their connection to it. And most have no idea that there is something that underlies the matrix, something that overlaps and also intermingles with the matrix and with the illusion that has been parading as reality, that we all get born into this world, and right from the instance of birth, that those that interact with us, even the environments that we find ourselves in, our teachers, our peers, those that dictate, what is going to be reality for the children that are growing up in this world, we're all led to agreement, to consensus on what is real and what isn't. And so those belief systems and the foundation of those belief systems, which have been instilled into us since even before we had perception and knowledge to understand that those things which are affecting us, that had been affecting us on a daily basis, even from what our parents have been taught and what their grandparents and what their parents taught them, that this reality that we've accepted and believed to be true is just a form of perspective on how to view what is world. And for those that know differently, that have striven, sought something other, one of our mottos for the fallenangels.tv website is a seeker of lost paradise may seem a fool to one who has never sought the other worlds. And that basically, if you can understand that in parable form, then you know what I'm speaking about. And I know for a lot of you that you're just awakening to these things and you're just being led now to revelation and to question all the things that you've been taught in your life, all the things that you've come to know. And part of the process of awakening to the matrix and unlocking yourself from it is having to unlearn all the things that we've been taught and all the things that we thought we knew. Like, most of that is irrelevant, and most of that is based on illusions, dreams that are other people's, and there's a purpose and a reason for those that support the matrix and have instilled the matrix, the overseers that have taught it for thousands of years, that control it and rule over it. There's a reason why it has been incorporated so completely into this world and into the teachings of, parents to their children, and church and politics and society and culture. Because everywhere, the educational systems, everywhere the matrix is enforced and is instilled and has become accepted without people even realizing it. And so it's a difficult thing for individuals like myself and like yourself to become aware that we even live in a matrix and that there is something else, something greater, that there is higher purpose for our life and being. And that one of those things has to do with our spiritual nature and with that part of ourselves that is the connecting link, the direct connecting link to the Father and to the Son. Because it is that aspect of us, the Christ consciousness, the divinity, the breath of life that the Father blew into Adam and his children and gave to our ancestors. It's that part of ourselves that has aspiration and has remembrance of something greater and of something other than just what the world has taught us. And it's that part of ourselves that has remembrance of our first estate and who we are, who we were, before coming into the flesh and taking on this embodiment and being woken as children, as wet new souls in this fallen world, in these fallen states of being. And so I will look, if you have any questions, of course, those of you that have access to the chat room, please do put them in there. Like I said, I won't be reading a lot of scripture today. It will just be basically testimony and sharing my own personal revelation. So I am monitoring and I am watching the chat room. And so I will do as much as I can to answer your questions directly. But I want to share with you, especially for a lot of the new listeners, because we do have a lot of people that are just now becoming aware of the show, that have heard me on other people's show, especially with the Hijacker and the outreach that I've been doing there. We've had a lot of people that have been brought to and that are still new to the things that I've been speaking about for years now. But I want to share with you a poem that I've been working on for a long time, and some of you that are my regular listeners, that have supported my works and my endeavor for years, I really appreciate all of you. You may be aware of this poem. I've only read it once on air, and I've changed it up a little bit, but I'm going to read through this poem. It's called Forward Until Dawn. And in reading over this poem, I'm going to stop and share commentary and explain what it is that I'm trying to convey, because this poem it's perfect for the topic of discussion today and the things that we're going to be speaking about, because the process of awakening and of unlocking yourself from the matrix and of finding others that have also done so is similar, and the walk is similar. And so the struggle, the fight, there's different aspects, different levels of achieving and of going through that process. And so in speaking about and reading this poem, we'll be able to kind of introduce that process, especially for those that are still mostly connected and that have just now, been granted insight into what are the other worlds. And of course, you don't need myself or anybody else. Those of you that put the kingdom as priority and that dedicate your lives to seeking out truth within the gospel, it's the Father and the Son that leads all of us to freedom, that gives and grants us liberty from what is the illusion and the matrix. And so, and people have been doing this over hundreds, thousands of years, in every era of history, in every aspect, in every part of what, the different aspects of what we know as Earth and human history, that people, in truly seeking and truly deliberating on what, are the larger questions and reasons for our being here in this world and at this time, and even during their particular lifetimes and their specific, points of interest as far as history, it's the same process. And of course, it's the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit that grant us insight and help to show us what is really real. And so I'm going to share with you this poem, and then I'll continue on with my own testimony. forward until dawn, laboring for your liberty, singing secrets freely to those who would lend ear. Beware of ciphers dressed in partial truths, decorated in luxuriance and sold as substance for profit, candy for the masses. Sharing truth is sacred duty, given without restriction for the purpose of revelation, catalyst to awaken others, goading them to remembrance without expectation of tribute or reward. I've been condemned by callous wardens, harassed by zombie slaves. The razor wire, steel doors, windows, adorned with bars, are incorporated to mine and veiled from periphery, caging those unsure of bondage, uncertain of remand. I'm going to stop here for a second and just tackle these few passages, because I'm basically, in these few passages that I read, setting the premise for helping those that have eyes to see, ears to hear, and a mind to understand what is the Matrix, and that the Matrix is not a prison with bars, so to speak, but it's in your mind, and it's the way that we live and have agreed as to what is important in this world. Because most of us believe that, and think that having children and that getting a good education and getting a good job and building up a legacy of name and fortune for our children to inherit, that is the goal and the focus of life and being, and that there's nothing else, there's nothing other, and that is the most important thing for each and every one of us. And most certainly those goals do have merit, and I'm not trying to belittle them in any way, but I am saying that there is something more and something deeper, that our eternal inheritance and the life after this, because this is but a temporary dream, our life in the flesh, one lifetime in the immortal journey of soul, it's just a blink of an eye, really, even 100 years, and whereas our ancestors used to live even 1,000 years, which is 10 lifetimes, even more than what we live now, that also was just a blink in the eye of what is the entirety of history and being, and that there is something greater, because that part of us, again, that aspect of ourselves that is our connecting link to the Creator, that part of ourselves is immortal. And the journey, if you can perceive it, and if you live in such a way that you can secure the salvation that the Father and the Son have so graciously extended to all of us, then you can have part in what is eternity. And that's the biggest secret. That's one of those mysteries that has been hidden since the foundations of this world. And even though a lot of people grow up in religion and believe and have belief in, the afterlife and something that goes on beyond what is the physical and the flesh, not a lot of people truly live their life for such purpose. And that eternity is relegated something of a lesser priority than, our focus on and our commitments to what are the beliefs of the matrix and those illusions which have been established as more important for life and being and as priority for our time here on this planet. And that most people don't give consideration to their eternity and to their eternal inheritance until they are old and near death. And really, we are promised no tomorrows, and that most people die before they get old. And so these issues, these deliberations, these things that we should be pondering about are not things that we should just give to the end of life, because the end of life can be any day. Could be this moment, could be tomorrow. We are promised no tomorrows, and we are mortal beings. And so really, we have to live as if we can die at any moment of any day. Let me check the chat room and then we'll continue on. All right. I just want to thank again all those, especially for those new listeners that have joined us from across the pond and other places. We appreciate your fellowship, and feel free to chat with one another in the chat room and to share knowledge and insight and your discernment with each other, because I consider you, those of you that have found and been led to my show, I consider you some of the wisest seekers out there in this world, and that there is purpose for our being gathered together in the way that we have. And who knows, how long the internet is going to last, but definitely you should befriend one another and share, with each other and encourage one another in your seeking and in your assistance of others and helping them to awaken, because a lot of you have taken it upon yourselves to do as I have. You've stood yourself up as a watchman. You've taken on that role of being a foot washer, and you are in the process of, as Christ's example to all of us, of serving your fellow brother and sister and humanity as a servant, as a disciple of the Most High and His Son, because that's the real work. That's what we're really here to do, is to awaken each other, to the reality of what all this is truly and really all about. All right, continuing. The overseers celebrate a matrix which fosters the subtle imposition and the illusion of freedom, while also granting access to excess and pleasure to those quarantined by duress and the mask of false liberation. Those revealing mystery are designated insane, reputations annihilated by sovereigns in charge of asylum, regulating the cuckoo's nest, holding all victim to charade. Most are complicit in their own oblivion and that of their families. They're compelled to police self pledged to betray loved ones, children, parents, all for the meager residuals of scraps left over from buffets where the most prized and favored puppets congregate in dance to the devil's symphony. The Lord of this world wears all masks, presenting himself benevolent to those who cannot make sense of the depth of this illusion. Funding both sides of the grand war, each battle horrific jubilation, celebration and decimation, pawns strategically placed as cannon fodder for a good slaughter, brothers as enemies, contending ideas. Orwellian division, propaganda inciting contest, the spilling of blood, clandestine the sacrifice, for the feathered serpents aggregated, mad in carrion frenzy. Let me stop here before I get to the final paragraph. In these few passages here, I speak about how the Matrix also, and just like 1984, Orwell's, just his portrayal of what we would be living in the future, because he was part of those secret societies that were privileged, part of those Masonic groups that knew about the New World Order and the tasks that they had over these hundreds of years and even these thousands of years that they've been in effort bringing forth the New World Order to control our lives and to impose the illusion of freedom, because that's what it is now. Our lives have been controlled to such a degree that everything that we do now is monitored, and especially with what we're living with here in America, it's been openly proclaimed that all things are tracked, traced, that the databases have been compiled and have been formulated to control and to know what people do and where they go and what they are up to at all times. So that should the system, the Matrix, should they want to find you or get rid of you or seek reason for your imprisonment, if you are waking up to such a degree that you become a threat, and a threat in meaning, in what I'm saying as far as being a threat, is simply knowing about and understanding what's really going on. That people that have the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and the mind to understand, whether you are committing any, breaking any laws in any way, that you are held by the system and by the government as being dangerous to the continuation of the Matrix, just like in the movies with Neo and Morpheus and Trinity and the rest of them that had unplugged and that had chosen to fight for and to help awaken others to what was really going on, that they were considered a threat, and not because they were lawbreakers in any certain way or in any certain manner, but simply because they had the wisdom and the knowledge to help others see what was really going on and help them to make decisions on whether to support those systems or not. You know, like in the opening introduction where Morpheus told Neo, you can either take the red pill or the blue pill. And that if you take the blue pill, you'll wake up the next day and your life will be the same and you'll continue going on believing in whatever it is that you want to believe, whatever dreams and goals and priorities that the Matrix has imposed upon our lives and has told us is important, so that we should struggle and work towards supporting that agenda with the fullness of our life and being. Or you could take the red pill and become aware of the illusion to such degree that you can no longer support it with your mind and your efforts, that having seen the prison system and the way that it has controlled humanity and the energy and the direction, the goals of us as a people, as a world, as a planet, as a collective, and how if so many more, and it doesn't take everybody, of course, even like with the revolution, of our country, when a certain degree, a certain amount of people decided to go against what was the accepted precedents and the imposition of rule by the King of England and the imposition of, tariffs and bounties and taxes and laws which were unjust, which kept and pretty much depleted and decimated and wiped out energy and creativity and just alternative thinking, which could lead to other possibilities. It took 5% of the population to rebel against the tyranny and to bring freedom, even though, freedom has been limited, that a lot, even like certain minority groups and even women had to struggle and continue with the ongoing fight. But the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and those principles and foundation was laid and established for us as a republic to create what became the dream of America, the values, the freedoms. And of course I understand that, a lot of what became our Constitution and what became this country was Masonically influenced, and that the Freemasons had a hand to play. But still, the nation and the freedoms and the liberty that the people believed in, freedom to worship the Most High and to worship the Son and not have that controlled by the church, and to not have others be the intermediary or the intercessories for that relationship, that people wanted to be able to celebrate life and to worship life and being and to live out seeking the basic tenets of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and to grant grant possibility for accessing such things to each person that came up in this nation. And we, before we were destroyed from the inside out by the tyranny of those presidents which have been largely aligned to the agenda of the New World Order, and that many of them are blood related. And it doesn't matter whether we have Democrats or Republicans, that the illusion of choice in politics has been presented to us, and that this country has been controlled for a long time by the powers that be, and that we've been granted the illusion of vote and the representative government. But even still, that the Father has also been guiding and leading, even though it's been that the Masons and certain dark forces have been controlling and basically guiding the direction, that everything, no matter what it is, even for nefarious reasons, with this country coming to what it is, it's been guided by the Father and the Son. And it's only recently that we've become such a nation of, that has lost its morals and its values and its freedoms, that we were once a beacon for others, for other nations of the world. And of course, part of awakening to the illusion is realizing that opposition is controlled, that minorities are created so that they can be placed and put in opposition against each other, so that we can do the work of the rulers in decimating each other and slaughtering each other, and that differences and the contention of ideas, that a lot of that is largely propaganda. For those that don't know and have not heard about the protocols of the learned elders of Zion, that these texts are elitist documents and elitist texts, basically an agenda for the Luciferians, the Satanists, to bring about the New World Order and to take over rule of the entire world. And that even though it's been paraded as being a plot of the Jews or the elders of Zion, it's basically a document that is Luciferian, that is supported by the Masons and by those that are in allegiance with one another to bring about this world government, that have been working together. And this crosses all lines, all boundaries, that the Luciferians and Satan himself, he wears all masks. And you can find these people from every gender, every creed, of every color, of every skin type, of every nation. And that Satan has utilized individuals of every minority and of every race and nationality to bring forth his agenda and to secure what has become the push for world government. Even, Barack Obama, who everybody thought was going to be this great hope for change, just because he was of a different skin color, he is also directly related He's cousins with George Bush and Dick Cheney. He has the same bloodline as those that are connected, that lead back to Charlemagne, that have Vlad the Impaler in their lineage, in their bloodlines, that are connected to the seats of the royals all around the world. They're all connected to Queen Elizabeth and to the other people that are sitting on the thrones of the world. That it seems like these people are all disjointed and all separate from each other, but they're not. They are completely connected and agenda driven, and that if you study their connections, you will find that indeed they've been plotting together. And there's been commentary of the 13 families in the chat room. There's a book put forth by Fritz Springmeier called The 13 Bloodlines of the Illuminati. And that particular book, as well as the work of many others that have shown and that have proven, there's even a video on YouTube done by a 12-year-old girl who, having an interest in ancestry and of bloodlines, she has traced so many of our past and even our current presidents that are still alive today as being connected to each other, and that the illusion of the two-party system, the Democrats and the Republicans, that in truth we have a one-party system with two different faces, and that they are aligned in agenda, that what George Bush put into place during the tyranny of his 8 years in office, Obama has completely supported and even emphasized and elaborated the torture, the destruction of the Constitution, the stripping away of our freedoms, the decimation of the Bill of Rights. And so it's important for you, those of you that are just now waking up to these things, to first, don't believe me at all. Don't believe the things that I tell you or the things that anybody else tells you, that you have to be responsible for your own awakening, and that you have to, in relationship with the Father and the Son, to ask them for discernment. Ask them for revelation on all these things, because it's such a massive, massive accomplishment to awaken to first the New World Order, but then to also align the conspiratorial side of what's going on in life with the prophetic side of the gospel, in understanding the nature of the powers, the principalities, the rulers of darkness, the wickedness that is the fallen angels, the eye at the top of the Illuminati pyramid, and to be able to combine the truth that is contained within the Word with the knowledge of understanding how the conspiracy works. That's the fullness. That's when you can join those two worlds together and marry what is the truth of the Word with the truth of the world. Then you will have the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and the mind to understand. And you will see through the propaganda of our media system, of our government, of our supposed elected officials and why things are the way that they are, and how major events within the world, what's going on in the Middle East, how all these things unite together in creating what is the New World Order, and how it is that the New World Order is basically working and fulfilling biblical prophecy, and how all those things tie together. And I know for a lot of individuals that you have understanding on one side or the other, that it's been a difficult task to bring the unity, to bring the understanding of those two aspects of life and being together, so that you can see the fullness of the picture. That there are so many that have awakened, to the New World Order, that understand the conspiratorial side of and the nature of how governments support terror and fund terrorism in order to push us to a specific agenda, in order to bring forth wars and bring forth the securing of budgets, black budgets, the funding of homeland security, and bombs and planes and weapons of destruction, how they utilize trickery in order to secure the money that is necessary for them to push the agenda even that much further. How it was that Albert Pike and Giuseppe Mazzini talked about back in the late 1800s the need and the goal of bringing forth 3 global wars in order to unite the world in the New World Order, the world government, and under the rule of the secret societies and the Masonic brotherhood and sisterhood that have been working behind the scenes as odds, those that are behind the mask, that pull the strings of the presidents and the prime ministers and the people that are every day adorning the newspapers. Their photographs are everywhere. We know them as these world leaders, but the true power remains in the shadows, and their names and their voices and their ideas are secret, and we as the masses are not privileged. We're uncertain as to what they are discussing and what they are planning. And the Bilderberg Group is a perfect example of this, and how it is that they gather once a year for discussions on what they want to do and how they want to implement a direction for the world. And so these are the things that you're going to be waking up to, that the Father and the Son is going to lead you to discernment on, and that once you start to become aware of all these massive conspiracies and the depth and the level of the deception, the level of the illusion being played out as reality, you're going to have eyes to see and ears to hear and a mind to understand, and you'll never be able to go back. That once you take the red pill And once you are awakened to all these things, you'll never be able to put the jack back into the box. And that you will understand the world completely different than you ever have before. And that discernment is both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing in that I myself want to know the truth, and I would rather know the truth than believe in the lies and believe in illusions which are nonsensical and totally meaningless. That no matter what the truth is, I want to know it. And I want to know the depth of the insanity. And even though it's frightening, it's scary, and it completely destroys faith in government, because most of us are patriots. We love our country, we love our flag, we love our nation, and we had at one time supported the agendas of what we thought were our representative governments. But once you have, again, the eyes to see, you can no longer believe your governments, you can no longer believe the media, what they tell you on TV. You can't believe the newspapers and the headlines and the things that they write about. You can't believe the doctors and the shots that they're trying to give you for your health and well-being and that of your children. Because at every turn of the way, they are trying to destroy us and trying to control us and trying to implement an agenda and a program that is contrary to the health and the well-being of we as a people, as a planet, as a collective humanity. And I know that for those that have not awakened to what I'm talking about and that do not understand it this way, that I right now sound completely off the wall, and that many of you would absolutely lock me up in a padded room and throw away the key. And that is also one of the dangers and one of the overwhelming burdens of coming to this knowledge, is that your family, your friends, your parents, your children, your loved ones, everybody around you, because they're locked into the matrix, they're not going to understand. And that you will be lucky to meet one or two or three people for which you will be able to even discuss even just a small amount of the things that I'm sharing with you here today. That most people are completely okay with taking the blue pill and being part of the matrix, and they're completely okay with having every aspect of their lives controlled and all of their dreams and their goals and the things that they've believed in. They're okay with having that be decided by somebody else. And most in this world, they're totally okay with not knowing the Father and the Son, of not having relationship with them, of not knowing the truth of the Word, of not understanding the enmity between the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent, of not understanding how a third of the angels of the Most High rebelled against him so long ago, and having been kicked out of the heavens, how these angels and Satan, the adversary, who's the fallen cherub and leader of these particular beings, how they have been working to deceive us, to lead us astray, and to create our lives in pain, and they've formulated disease and control mechanisms, and even this system of belief and control that we're terming the matrix, that they've imposed this upon all the people that are born into this world to such a degree that most will never have understanding as to the imposition of that control system. Will never understand that the bars are in their minds. And they will happily, in earnest, and joyfully, for the few meager scraps that they're thrown from the tables of these insane puppets, they will sell themselves out, their loved ones, their children, their family members, and they will indoctrinate every person that comes into their lives. And their own children, they will assimilate them and teach them to an agreement with this consensus. And they will be led astray to such a degree that their souls, their eternal inheritance, their eternity is at risk, and they care not. They care not about salvation, truth, having the eyes to see, the ears to hear, the mind to understand. They only care about fortune, fame, power, prestige, having a lot of toys, sex, drugs, money, whatever it is that Satan has utilized to deceive them and has led them to sell out their family members and their loved ones, that he's got a number of devices, a number of means, so many that we can't even understand. And so my hope and my prayer and my wish for you and each one of you out there is that you come to remembrance on who you are, why you're here, what all of this is about, and that you take up the goal, the responsibility, the task, the role, the mission of serving the Father and the Son, because they are trying to stand up each one of us, that they want all of us to come to knowledge. They want all of us to be able to see clearly what is happening within the world. And they want all of us to be able to, if you do choose to watch the news, if you do choose to read the newspapers, to listen to the bobbleheads on TV, that no matter what it is being said or being exclaimed in whatever way, that you will see through it, that you will no longer be deceived or led astray by what is the propaganda of hearsay and doublespeak, that reality will present itself to you and that you will see the underlying truth everywhere, and that you will be able to look into a crowd of people and you will see who is awake and who isn't, that you will know those that have priority, that have placed the kingdom as the focus of their lives, that have dedicated themselves and that have spent the hours, the time, the effort to do their own homework, those that have true relationship with the Father and the Son, that have been guided the way that you have to the remembrance that all of us who seek and understand truth share. No matter which part of the world we may be from, no matter which language, no matter what skin tone we are, what gender, how old, that those of you like myself that have been brought to this revelation, we can see, we can pick each other out from the crowd, that we know who each other are simply by the way that we speak, by the things that we say, the things that we read, and the things that we choose to focus our lives upon. There's many of us now, because the time, the hour is so late that the Father and the Son, like Satan and the New World Order, and the Masons, the Satanists and the Luciferians, they have accelerated the agenda. That just as the dark and the darkness of those, the rulers, that they've put their agenda into overdrive and that they know that their time is short, also the Father knows and the Son knows, and they are pouring out the Spirit on all flesh, and that people are being granted dreams and visions. And it doesn't matter from which country, even there's a great awakening occurring in the Muslim nations, in a lot of these pagan nations where they have been dedicated for time immemorial to the worship of the fallen angels as their gods, that Christ is coming to them within their dreams, and he's turning people's lives upside down, and others are seeing from example what it means to be in relationship with the Father and the Son, and to have their influence, their effect upon our lives. And the youth are seeking for answers. They want to know the truth no matter the cost. And even though they are finding the world hopeless as far as the American dream and the promise of money and materialism and house with 2 cars and 2 kids and cat and dog and a big yard and money in the bank, even though that dream is broken down, and that the whole belief and drive to accumulate more than what people need and to hoard at the expense of others, that the children are waking up to that there's something more to life, and that they are going seeking that, and they are looking for people that have the answers, and that they also are being led to relationship with the Father and the Son, and that once they are awakened to these things, that they are on fire for the truth of the Word, that they are on fire for knowledge and wisdom, and that they want to, even at the expense of their lives, share that with others, even at the cost of their freedom. They want to make a change and be a difference in this world. And so many are standing themselves up, that are asking, that are on their knees, asking the Father and the Son to guide and direct them, to lead them to the truth, to help them understand what's going on in the world. And so many of them have done their homework and their research to now where they understand that, the government and the powers that be, the New World Order, they are understanding the conspiratorial side of reality, and they're being led to the truth of the gospel. They're being led to ask about the bigger questions of life and being, that they're seeking answers for what it's talking about in Genesis chapter 6, where it speaks about the sons of God mating with the daughters of man and creating a race of giants known as the men of renown, that they're trying to understand why it is that we have megalithic structures all over the world built in alignment to stars and constellations, and at a time when science and the accepted belief systems tell us that we were, basically hunters and gatherers, and that we had no technology or understanding of the greater things of society and culture and the knowledge of the stars. They're trying to understand why it is that there's cities, bases, and buildings on the moon and Mars. They're trying to decipher and to work through all the lies that they've been told and taught as truth. They're trying to understand how it is that science thinks that we evolved of a monkey when we have monkeys still living with us, and how humankind could be evolved as some missing link that ties us together, when it just, that belief is just beyond mockery. It's beyond, it doesn't even, there's no truth for them in accepting what is being taught in the schools, in the educational systems, as truth. And they're wanting to know more. And so they're going seeking those of you that have the answers. And it's a wonderful thing, because for each one of us to be able to reach just one person, especially if they're young, they're going to have a lifetime of having discernment and of leading others. And how many people are they going to touch in their lives? And if you can bring a child that has been lost to God and lost to relationship with the Father and the Son, that did not have any interest in the Word at all, and if you can pique their interest and bring them to knowledge and to revelation of these things that we've been speaking about and talking about, and help them to understand about the fallen angels and about the two different bloodlines and the seed lines, and to help them to understand that they had prior life and embodiment before coming into the flesh, and that they also have part to play in what will be salvation and the immortal and the eternity of their soul, their spirit, that they have a chance to live forever. If you can help people to come to relationship with the Word and to truly want to know the Father and the Son, there's celebration going on in the heavens because the angels are cheering all the things that you are doing. And for every person that is brought back to the Father and the Son, how glorious, how wonderful that is, and how many more will be led. It'll be a great domino effect. And, you know, even those that are dedicated to the matrix, that have lived their lives in these Illuminati families, that have been, you know, major players for the New World Order and that agenda. Many of them also are being awakened and that are being led to the truth, and that they are being led to understand that even though their families may be wicked and that there may be generational curses, that they can repent and that they can have redemption and that they can have chance again to align with the truth and to relationship with the Father and the Son. I mean, we're changing lives. This information is so critical that we're changing lives, and that's the beauty of what we're all being called to do. And the Father and the Son, they're standing all of us up and giving us the strength and the power and the authority to bring people to remembrance, bring people to the knowledge of who they are and what all this is about. And once you do that for somebody, you're going to set them on a journey that they're going to be a major catalyst for change. And they're going to be they're going to have major impact on this world. And they're going to change things and create things differently so that more and more and more and more people will have a chance for hope, will have a chance for aligning themselves with truth and of bringing themselves back to their first estate and of embracing that salvation that the Father and the Son have so graciously wanted and wished for each one of us since even before the foundations of this world. We have great part to play, each one of you, because those of you that understand what I'm talking about, that don't think me crazy or off the wall, that know the truth of what I'm trying to say to you today, that have the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and the mind to understand. The angels are cheering for each one of you, and they are wishing more than anything that you embrace the responsibility of being a son of God, of being a daughter of God, of being an angel of God caught up in the flesh and living in the flesh, but not identifying with the limitations of the flesh. That we are each realizing our responsibilities as co-creators with the Father and the Son of creating and being the catalyst for goodness, mercy, compassion, empathy, and the passing on of truth and wisdom. That if all of us would stand each other up and support one another and embrace each other and love and quit just focusing on the nonsensical and meaningless differences that have kept so many away from the truth, and that we realize we're not promised any more tomorrows, and that we have to make the difference today and tomorrow, if that's a possibility, and if there is a tomorrow, that we have to embrace the moment that we have now to do what we can. And I know that each one of you are, and that you're willing, and that you're wanting, and that the Father and the Son are going to use you for just incredible things, and that each one of us are going to be the manifestors of miracles, the creators of dreams and goals, and that we're going to be the example that Christ himself was to all of us and the apostles, and that the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, is going to live within each one of us, and that the Father and the Son are going to take up residence in our hearts and in our being, and they're going to guide us and dictate us and utilize us for the glory of their own benefit. And that we are doing so out of the humbleness of our heart, that we are on our knees before the Father and the Son daily, asking not for our own glory or for our own prosperity or for our own rewards or, for our own blessings, but that we're asking the Father and the Son to use us to do in our lives what they would wish for us, that we could align to their will for our lives, and that we can be the catalyst of great change and to help others to come to the truth of all these beautiful and wonderful and incredible secrets that have been revealed to all of us. Because we are so blessed. We are so, so blessed. And, none of us has any excuses anymore. That, I myself am a person that has a high level, a severe disability, and that the Father has used me in his own way to bring forth this information and this knowledge. And so many of you out there have greater abilities and more capacity than myself. And so realize your blessing. Understand how truly capable you are to be an instrument of the Father and the Son, and how those things that you may have been putting off for a later date, whether it's writing that book or creating that album or that song, whatever it is that you've been putting it off, embrace the moment now and do what you can with it, and realize that we only have today. We only have today, and that at some point it's going to be peace come sudden destruction, and that the blessings of this moment, the safety and the beauty and the pleasure and the harmony that we share right now will be taken away, and that as a world we're going to be plunged into chaos, and that the New World Order will have their day, and that they will have their temporary rulership and their temporary reign, but that the Father and the Son, they're coming again to straighten up and to set things right and to bring eternal inheritance and the immortality that we once had enjoyed before coming into flesh form, that bright nature that Adam and Eve shared before having fallen into flesh form and being transformed into these fallen state of being, that all that is the promise of the gospel, and that he has promised us immortality and an eternal inheritance that is forever. And so think about that for a minute. Ponder on that. Try to imagine eternity and your place within it, and how incredible that as a gift is and can be. What else would you desire? What else can promise such incredible benefit? The illusions of this world, money, power, prestige, inheritance, stuff, toys, things. I mean, does it in any way equal eternity? I think not. I think not. And so get your priorities right. Get your focus right. And realize that that's what this is all about. That's the game. That's the secret behind the Matrix, is that we are talking about, and in the battle of our lives for our eternity, that's what we're here to aspire to, and that we have an inheritance that promises us a chance to live forever. And that is just incredible. And so the war in heaven that occurred so long ago and that caused 1/3 of the angels of the Most High to fall, that war is ongoing, and that the enmity between the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent, that is the continuation of the war, and that is happening. That battle is within our own minds and our own hearts and within our own bodies, and that we daily have the chance and the opportunity to align ourselves with the angels of righteousness, with the angels of the Most High, and to serve the Father and the Son. Because that's what we're here to do, not like Lucifer and his angels that wanted to be as gods themselves. That's contrary to the nature of the Father and the Son, which is to serve each other and one another in love, in empathy, and compassion. That is the fullness of the law, the fullness of the Ten Commandments. It's love and sharing that love with each other. Oh my goodness, we're already out of time. Well, I just pray that each one of you truly stand yourself up and that you come to remembrance and that you seek to serve the Father and the Son in the fullness that you can, and to embrace that spiritual aspect of yourself, and know that time is short and that we're here to do incredible things, and that the Father and the Son, they want us to know about all these incredible things, and they want us to aspire to fulfilling our higher purpose for being here in this world and at this time. Yahuwah bless all of you. Till next Saturday. God bless all. Good night.